think we're just sorting out some technical difficulties a minute. Okay, do you want to start your presentation? Thank you.
Hello, good morning. My name's Claire Hamer. So I'm going to present along with Sian about our service. So our journey began with a shift from the former Careline service, a reactive model providing basic lifeline and telecare equipment, to a more modern, preventative and technology-enabled service. Systems were equally outdated, where referrals relied heavily on paper forms, causing delays and restricting access. We needed to shift to a modern, preventative and technology-enabled service by introducing online referral forms that populate directly into the installation officer's database, embedding assistive technology into everyday social care practice, developing a joint transformation plan with social care, and reorganising the sustainable living team to install more complex equipment. We also expanded our knowledge and learning from our service level agreement with Newport OT services, recognising our own potential to deliver advanced technology locally. Today, we have embedded assistive technology across social care practice and created coordinated pathways between housing, social care and health. Our aim has always been to embed assistive technology into everyday social care practice, so it becomes part of the solution for care and support rather than an add-on. In November 2022, we met with social care senior leaders to discuss the opportunity to develop and expand our service by working together to identify technological solutions to meet social care needs. Early on in the process, we identified 4 priority areas that guide practice today: falls and falls prevention, dementia, reablement, and reducing social isolation. To support these, we reorganised the Sustainable Living team and created the role of an assistive technology coach to allow for the expected increase in demand and deliver the extended offer of equipment. We sourced and introduced modern technologies aligned to these needs. We developed a diagnostics tool that supports staff to select the right solutions, understand benefits, view costs, and link directly to our referral forms. We strengthened marketing and engagement so staff and residents clearly understand what support is available. We introduced new smart technologies, simplified processes, especially the referral pathway, and strengthened marketing and engagement so residents and staff could clearly understand what support is available. Sustainability of assistive tech. Sustainability is vital to the long-term success of our service. Our model is self-funded through increasing uptake, supported by strong internal and external promotion, including rebranding, updated web pages, including a chatbot and promotional campaigns, a permanent presence in community spaces, strong partnerships across third sector organisations, digital systems that improve efficiency, and identifying new technological solutions that come to the market. These elements ensure ongoing visibility, accessibility, and community engagement across the county.
So, we've obviously learned important lessons along the way which have shaped our service. And assistive, Sorry, can you hear me now? Yeah. Assistive technology must be holistic and not just reactive. We have demonstration spaces throughout the county, which we have found to be essential and valuable. The assistive tech coach role is central to workforce development. We have simplified referral pathways to widen access. Ongoing workforce development is crucial to address digital skills gaps. And our marketing rebrand strengthened engagement internally and externally. And these insights align with our transformation plan, where strengthening knowledge and simplifying processes were essential objectives. We just wanted to share with you some key performance indicators there that have shown the development of the service across a few years that we've been working towards now. The transformation has produced measurable positive impacts, and since embedding technology referrals have increased from 250 to 593, with that's a projection to 593 by the end of the year, which we're at now, really. In January alone, we received 69 referrals, which is the highest number that we've ever received per month to date. Our service users have increased from 850 to over 1,000 now, with further growth expected. Our digital lifeline adoption rose from 50% to 93%, so we're nearly at capacity there for our digital lifeline adoption. We've also captured prevention outcomes. For example, from the statistics we've captured, we've been able to identify that 24.8% avoided a care home admission as a result of having our equipment. 26% avoided a hospital admission, and 11.5% avoided domiciliary care packages. So these statistics show the measurable impact of digital and technology in keeping people safe, well, and independent in their own homes. The appointment of the assistive technology coach has been transformational and has been really integral in developing our service. So I'll just play Rhiannon's little video at the moment, see if we can get that working. Oh, to get my volume up. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Should I just stop that a sec? No, that's not working either. Yes, yeah. That's not going to work. That's going to work, is it? Nope. Nope. There. Hmm. next one. Sorry about this.
Hello there, my name is Rhiannon Gregory. I am the Assistive Technology Coach for Monmouthshire County Council, and we are working together with the Northern Bedford Health Board to help people stay living independently for longer at home. We've opened 2 new rooms, one assistive technology and one smart tech. The rooms are set up to help people live independently at home for longer. And if you'd like to come and have a look, please visit our website. And the booking system is live on there, or give us a call on 01633 64466. Hello there, my name is Rhiannon Gregory. With the Northern Bedford Health Board. to help people. Hello there, my name is Rhiannon Gregory.
I'm so sorry about that. Unfortunately we got quite a few videos which are absolutely fantastic, but I think given the issues that we've got, we'll skip the videos and yeah, just carry on. Otherwise, we're going to take too much of your time up. So the appointment of the Assistive Technology post has been transformational to our service. The purpose of this role is to source and test new equipment coming to market, to support social care staff through induction and training, and that's been embedded into the social care induction programme now. She's now a regular regular member of the multidisciplinary care plan weekly meetings known as QUAG. And here the service users' cases are discussed to decide whether their care packages, what they might look like, and it includes now consideration of assistive and smart technology as standard across the board. She provides equipment training and information on how to make referrals to our service using our online MS forms. She offers advice and guidance at forums, leads marketing and promotion for the service. She supports technology hub development. So the first interactive technology hub we opened in February 2024 at Chepstow Community Hospital, and we've opened a second hub now at Monovale Hospital in 2025. Additionally, we've got standalone displays throughout the county, such as the Palmer Centre, Monmouth Library and Mardy Park Resource Centre. And she also works alongside the social care training team sort of regularly. This ensures technology is not just available, but understood, trusted and used effectively. We won't go for that. Oh no. Sorry, right.
Okay, voices of impact. As you can see on the screen, we have some voice of impact which come back from our customer satisfactions and other information that we get back from some of our promotional activities. The strongest evidence we have comes directly from residents, family and staff themselves. Where we've got the Lifeline unit has given me peace of mind. Technology means we can stay at home and worry less about family members. Training and support has made a huge difference, and the Technology Hub helped us choose the right support. These voices capture the true human impact of our digital transformation. Obviously, we did have some videos, but we'll share with you those after this presentation, and we can also share them by sharing our presentation with you. So we have a couple of case studies here as well on the screen. So we had one where Mr. B was significantly reduced by mobility due to having his four limbs amputated. So we were approached by the social care team, and they asked us what kind of equipment we could help to allow this person to come home and live independently as he can. So with this case study, we provided smart technology as well as some lifeline equipment, but he now has curtain openers and closers, so he can do this very voice prompted demands. There's a video doorbell with an electronic door, and so therefore he can see who's at the door before being able to let that person into the house. And then there's some lighting as well. So the lighting has helped improve independence. So you could turn the lights on and off to sort of guide him through the property, particularly during the night. So that was one case study that we have. And then we had another one. Quite a lot of equipment went into here because Mrs. H had dementia and mobility issues, and it was rather to try and keep it at home rather than going into a care setting. So as you can see on here, this person had pretty much a full package of equipment. So from the lifeline to falls detector, obviously, and there was property exits because there's a risk of that person going out wandering. So then at least then there was notify our lifeline service and our alarm receiving centre if she was to exit, and inform the family therefore to encourage the person back. And there was also bed sensors and chair sensors, which again, they activate during the day and through the night. So if that person is at risk of falling, that she had those bed sensors. And then also had one of our comp screens as well. And the comp screens, they're an interactive screen. Only people that are known to that person, like family members, would have that access. And therefore, they can be set for medication prompts, and family can call in and text messages can be sent, and then they have photos on them, so it's really good for memory and giving them access to photos of particularly people if they've got family that live abroad as well, etc. So that was a very good case study as well for Mrs. H. And then we've got the final one then, which was a gentleman who had cerebral palsy, again affected mobility. Occupational therapy, referred through and had conversations with our digital coach about the equipment, and again a lot of smart technology was placed into the property, which enabled them to stay safe at home and not have to go into care and residential care. So these stories really highlight the dignity, safety and independence achieved through personalised digital solutions.
We were hoping one of our occupational therapists was going to be with us today, because she had a lovely case study for you. Unfortunately, she couldn't attend at the last minute, so she sent it through. So if it's okay with you, I'll just read it out for you. So she says, Dolly has been living in a bungalow since 1978, and Dolly has been retired from working with Welsh Government as a civil servant. Her hobbies were crosswords, puzzles and reading, and she now uses a Kindle because books were too difficult for her to hold to read. Dolly said all these things kept her mind active and her attitude positive. Dolly has a private cleaner each week to carry out the domestic chores, and she uses Wiltshire Farm foods as she feels this is a safer option than cooking. She shops online for all her other shopping and has it delivered. She survived a stroke, which has left her with left-sided weakness in both left limbs and restricted mobility. Her range of movement is restricted, and she is now unable to use her left arm or hand, and has continuous pins and needles sensation in her left leg, which can also feel very leaden. Post-stroke, Dolly was mobilising using a tripod stick. She was widowed prior to her stroke, but has 2 supportive sisters who maintain regular and frequent contact with her. Dolly's mobility has plateaued and was not helped as she developed a badly ulcerated left leg. Her mobility began decreasing and she began to have more frequent falls. Dolly's level of care was increased and she began to need more support. She was referred for a falls alarm at this time. This helped her to feel more safe in her home in the knowledge that she could alert her family if she fell and reduce the amount of time lying on the floor. She later contacted duty again as her mobility decreased and the amount of falls she was having were increasing. Dolly reported that her left leg will not move when she is trying to move it. She is seen by the community therapy team and identified that she needed assistance to mobilise. Her care increased to 4 calls per day. Dolly now prefers to sleep in her rise and recliner chair in her living room and uses a commode. She stated that she was struggling with turning on the light switches on and off and opening and closing the curtains. She wanted to explore assistive technology to determine whether there were options to support her with this. Until this was explored, an additional request was added to the care plan to specify that carers switch the lights on and close curtains before they leave tea time visit to ensure she isn't sat in the dark until the 8 p.m. call. The care plan also asked carers to turn the lights off after 8 p.m. Dolly reported feeling very disempowered at this time as she feels she has no control over her situation. She wanted to regain her mobility and be able to complete daily tasks as she did prior to the recent 2 falls. She was also realistic and understanding that it could take time and she may not regain her independence as it once was. She was referred to assistive technology to enable her to open her door, open her curtains, turn on and off the lights. This enabled Dolly to still have some independence and control in her life. Dolly was contacted to ask about her experience with this assistive technology. She reported that she was very pleased with the service. She said that when they visited her, they installed all the equipment and demonstrated her how to use it.
So our diagnostics tool is a key innovation to our service development. It helps staff identify the right technology for individual needs, supports assessment across the 4 key priority areas, ensures technology becomes integral to the care planning conversation. It also includes cost information and a direct link to the online referral form. This tool has transformed practice by making digital solutions accessible, consistent, and easy to understand. We've put some spotlights of our service. So what makes assistive tech Monmouthshire stand out? We have a skilled, compassionate, centred team. We have strong partnership working, high quality branding and promotion, a modern, innovative approach to service delivery, working directly with social care professionals during the care planning stage. Our partnerships with comms have been instrumental, leading to social media campaigns, new materials, and high engagements.
Our next steps. So we've come a long way since we started, but there's still a long way to go, we feel. So our next steps are going to focus on further embedding assistive technology into social care, strengthening safety and independence for people in their own home, developing a regional strategy with our health colleagues, continuing the digital migration, introducing virtual demonstrations, introducing reablement and hospital discharge, a sort of try before you buy package, we were thinking, investing in workforce growth as demand is increasing, and we are very committed to continuous improvement and innovation. So again, I won't show the videos with you, unfortunately, but we've set up technology hubs and displays throughout the county, and our technology hubs and virtual tours help professionals, carers and families explore solutions in realistic settings. They also provide virtual education, reassurance and early intervention. So yeah, again, some videos which we'll skip over. But yeah, thank you for listening. Assistive technology is committed to empowering residents, supporting families and transforming care through digital innovation. So again, thank you for your time and thank you for listening.
Can I just say thank you, both Claire and Sean. Really, really interesting presentation. I'm sorry the videos, there were sort of techie things, but I'm sure that possibly we can get those sent on somehow. Hazel, can we? Yeah. Okay, so I can see that we've got a couple of people with hands up. So I'm going to go over to Christopher Edwards first and then John. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Excuse me. And thank you to the officers for taking us through the report this morning. I know that some of my residents are very impressed with the technology available today, which is much different to what was available to my late grandmother many, many years ago. First of all, looking at the report, section 3.5.9, social care staff awareness, training and development, it mentions there that a lot of your examples, you've mentioned Chepstow Community Hospital, but it mentions in there that the service there has recently withdrawn ward space for hospital purposes. So this tech hub has been lost. So do we know the reasons for this? Is this an error, or do we know the reasons for it? And can we work on a solution to rectify this? I'll ask a few more questions as well, just so that you can think about that for a second. Mainly on the training side of it. I was just wondering what proportion of users actually feel confident in using the technology provided. I mean, what training is provided to individuals, carers, and perhaps their families in effective use of this technology? And how do we support those who lack confidence with technology? And what ongoing support is available if the technology fails or is not understood over a period of time? Thank you.
Sean, do you want to?
Yeah, if I can pick up the question about the Chepstow Hospital. Yes, we were contacted a few months ago by the colleagues in health to say that due to winter pressures, they needed the space at Chepstow Hospital back in order to turn it back into a ward. So that was the reason that they asked us to leave. We've been told it's only a temporary measure, and they have given us another space, which I should have mentioned in the presentation. Sorry, I'd forgotten about that. In Caldicot Health Centre. So we've moved our display from Chepstow Hospital to Caldicot. It's still operating through the same booking system, so people can still go along there and see all the equipment that's on display there. And at some point, we've been assured that we can go back to Chepstow Hospital once the pressures they're facing have been addressed and back under control. Your question about training, shall I carry on with that? Yeah. Question about training is Rhiannon, who is our assistive technology coach, does all the training for new social care staff that come along. So she's now embedded in the induction program. So she does that on a 6-weekly rolling basis. I understand they have an induction program. So she's not only training OTs and social workers, but she's training reablement staff and carers and all those sorts of staff. So they are getting first-hand training from her during that induction program. But she's also on contact for them as and when they require it. So I can appreciate that they might go to the induction program and then not need to look at assistive technology for a number of weeks or months or whatever. But they've got Rhiannon's contact number, and she will go out with those staff then on the first occasion, perhaps, just to go through everything again, a bit of a refresher for her, or she'll speak to them over the Teams or a telephone conversation with us. So she's always available. We've got 3 assistive tech installation officers as well, who would be contactable for staff to contact if they're not sure about equipment. So there's always somebody on hand who can give staff training as and when required. As for the families and the service user themselves, it depends. It might be Rhiannon herself who goes out and installs that equipment, or it might be what the installation officer themselves who goes out to install it. But they will spend time with that customer, make sure they fully understand how that piece of kit works, what it can do, how it works. And they will also leave contact numbers then, just in case they need to contact the office if something does go wrong, which it doesn't very often. I've got to be honest. Once the kit goes in, it's usually pretty straightforward. But we are there to offer support, and we will go back out if somebody isn't quite sure of what to do or how to use it. We'll offer to go back out and retrain them and go through things with them again.
Okay, thank you. Just to follow up on that, obviously that's mainly sort of on the phone and face to face. Is anything sort of left with the user or the family, a sort of step by step simple instructions, just in case they have sort of minor errors, so they're not sort of worried about having to phone the next day to resolve a problem?
We do have manuals available. We don't tend to leave them with the customer as a matter of course, because they can be quite overwhelming. So we prefer that sort of personal touch, where we're speaking with somebody and where we're visiting them. But as I said, the equipment is quite good, and it doesn't fail very often. So we're not in the position where we're constantly being contacted because people don't understand it or can't use it. When the installation officers go out, they are there for a considerable amount of time with that person, and they will explain it time and time again while they're with somebody. A lot of the equipment, although it looks very complicated, it's actually really simple. So we try to do that. But yeah, we do have written documents we could share with people if they prefer that method of reading something and looking at something.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Crook.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. First of all, may I say, excellent. I found that on the last 2 visits I've visited with you, and it's a credit to you, really. But a couple of things that concerns me. Councillor Edwards' approach, the one for Chepstow Hospital. Was it not my understanding that at Chepstow Hospital you were going to look at a facility for boarding for carers? Was that not correct, was it? No, okay, fine. I'll move on from that if I may. But on section 357, it clearly says that there has been an increased need to pull the digital coach off and training awareness to cover installations. And that situation is obviously a key risk going forward. Surely there needs to be then, if that's the case, and if you look at the appendix here, 2, it says staff capacity is insufficient to meet the needs to install equipment or attend maintenance requirements within required timescales. And I find it a little bit most alarming, really, where one of the action points is posting equipment for self-installation to be offered as an option from March the 26th. Surely that's not a good idea going forward, I wouldn't have thought, especially when you've been talking about installations and talking to people. I would consider that being a rectification step, to be honest. Perhaps you can come back to me on that one. The second one, obviously the Caldicott Health Centre, you're talking of Kymar Road, aren't you? My impressions of Kaima Road, it's a derelict building. There's nobody there to look after you, or there's nobody in the receptionist there. I just wonder how that's going to work going forward. It's certainly much different to Chipstow Hospital, and I think that would put people off, to be honest with you. If I can go on to the 5314, which is the Social Care Wales, and we've obviously lost out our submission. Can we not go back and ask more questions and say, well, look, this is really an area where we need help? Have you gone back to those people and said that situation, or have you just accepted as, sorry, we lost out? And then if I go to your graph, and it's got Newport City Council referrals, it's gone from 31 to 80. And then the number of Newport clients is 103 to 99. I can't understand that. It's two different areas. And then the last question I've got really is that if you go to 573, which you obtained some £38,000 from 3 different organisations, does that cover or where does that sit in your financial commitment, really? Okay.
I'm going to take that. Your first question about the digital coach and using them for installations. Basically, I think we've got to the stage where we're victims of our own success. The service has grown considerably, so obviously more referrals we get, that means there's more installations. Bigger client base means there's more people to support, whether it's through general queries or billing, for example, and maintenance. There is a little bit of maintenance that goes on as well. So we have needed to pull Rhiannon off her duties occasionally to support the installation side of things, which hasn't been that wasn't the intention, so but that's something we are in discussions with social care colleagues, with Jane Rogers and Jenny Jenkins, and it's a conversation that we're working our way through at the moment. But it's certainly something, I think the point you've raised there is completely appropriate. We share that with you, and we want to look at how we can get back onto a more appropriate footing, really. I say it's not a problem, but it's not something, it's not how we want to work. So that was that first comment. Posting, as Sean says, the posting of the equipment is pretty straightforward generally, and it's easy. The digital equipment is easier to install now than the older equipment. So it literally is, it's not much more than switching it on. Having said that, we accept that we're working with a vulnerable client base, and so the starting point is we're here, and if somebody wants it installed, we're there to do it. The reason we've offered posting as an option is it's not uncommon now for people to get mobile phones and everything through the post, etc. A lot of our clients have got family and carers, so we know that there's there's that family sort of context. So it's something that we're only very early days into it. The numbers that we've done so far are relatively low, but it's just another option that helps us with being a little bit more efficient. But there's that support in the background should anybody need it if we post. Do you want to add anything?
I was just going to say that we are only posting the very simple of equipment. We wouldn't post anything more complex, and we are ensuring there is a family member available with them who could, because we quite often find that sons and daughters live away these days and are only visiting during certain times, and they actually ask for the equipment to be posted to them, so they know that they're coming down a week next Thursday and they can just plug it in themselves and connect it. So we're not doing it across the board. We're only targeting a very small, selection of customers.
You queried about the social care accolades. We were devastated. I've got to say, we were really disappointed. We didn't progress with that. Claire and Sean put masses of time and effort into preparing our submission, and we were really proud of what we delivered to the panel. But again, your point is it was the learning from the other agencies that progressed, whereas we didn't. So we've already looked to identify if there was any learning opportunities, and what we've found is the services that have gone through are nothing like what we deliver. One was like, or the one that leaps out was the virtual headsets for dementia. Sounds really innovative, and but it was nothing like what, like our service. So unfortunately, there wasn't any learning. I think in hindsight, or this is my thoughts anyway, I think the category it was a new category. It was assistive technology and digital. And I think probably it would have been better if it was assistive technology as one category and digital as another category. So, unfortunately, there was no learning there. Two more questions. I'll hand back to you for the Newport one, but the last question was about budget. Again, Sean and Claire have been really proactive in terms of looking to identify funding opportunities, and these were literally funding opportunities that have come up that we've been able to take advantage of. So effectively, these funding streams they've subsidized the service for this year. Obviously the issue for us, whilst we obviously welcome any funding opportunities, it's not sustainable, and it's trying to get away from relying on those one-off sources of funding to a more financially sustainable arrangement. So, but again, I think in terms of the work that we're doing with social care, that is something that we are looking at the moment, and that may have to include a price rise as well for the self-funders, unfortunately. So, but can you answer the Newport question?
Can you remind me what the Newport question was? Sorry.
Sorry, if you look at the graph on page 4 of my document, I think it's 3.6, you've got on the bottom of the page, which is Newport City Council referrals. Last year was 31, this year were 80, and the number of clients last year was 103, yet it's gone down to 99 in this year, and I can't quite understand that. Perhaps I'm...
Yeah, so I think on that one, it is the 99 is at Q3, but obviously we do get a lot of drop-offs on customers as well. So they get equipment gets returned, and then we might not then fully do as many installs in that month. Yeah, so that's where that difference is. Okay.
Yeah, I can see now. Yeah, I'm actually in awe of what you do. So you keep going. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
I was just going to pick up your point you made about moving into the Caldecott Health Centre, because We agree. It's not as ideal as Chepstow. We were very disappointed that we were asked to move out of Chepstow, but we were grateful that they offered a solution for us. I know it's temporary. It hasn't got the footfall that Chepstow would attract, but it is being utilised because the idea is that somebody will book online, and Rhiannon, our digital coach, will meet them at the centre and give her spiel about what equipment can do. And the OTs are able to take patients across there as well if they can. And I know some of them have done that as well. So it is being used, but I appreciate the point that you've made about, and we hope to get back into Chepstow as quickly as possible.
Thank you, John. I think for me, because John and I visited Chepstow together, it was seeing it like it might possibly be within the home, whereas I don't know whether Kymar Road is a bit more clinical. I don't know. But are there, I'm butting in now, but can I ask about, are there plans for Severnview Care Home to have some sort of similar facility, or is it going to be more interactive with the people that actually are currently resident there?
We are planning to get into Severnview. You're right. We've got a meeting coming up about that, haven't we? Quite shortly. It's more about what we can do for the residents there. Really, that's that one. And likewise at Mardy Park as well. We're going to be hopefully getting into awards there at Mardy Park and setting up the equipment so that service users can get familiar with it and then decide whether they want to take that home with them then. So yeah.
Thank you, Sian. I'm going to take Penny Jones next. Councillor Riley is after that, and then it's Simon and Christopher after that. Thank you. So Penny.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just want to say thank you, Ian, and your excellent team, because for helping the residents of Monmouthshire with this innovative approach and to help them maintain their independence. It really is an excellent way forward. But my concern is about the sustainability, especially in relation to funding and the overspend, etc. But I'm going to concentrate on a question elsewhere, 3511, and it's about it's asking why the health board hasn't established a regional strategy. You know, despite talks, you said it hasn't come to fruition. And Rhiannon says that, you know, she works alongside the health board, and the advantages to the health board and, you know, lowering the hospital discharges or helping the hospital discharges, sorry, it must be enormous. So I just wondered what you can do to overcome this and how a regional strategy can go forward, which I'm sure would help you, perhaps even from the funding side. But also, do you integrate or do you have any say with the regional partnership board? Thank you.
Yeah, the link with health for us is an obvious one, and we believe that there are really good opportunities with health. We're not where we thought we'd be in terms of it. So we did have a link through the RPB. I sit on underneath the RPB. There's a social care, housing and health group, and we had a contact on that group that was leading on a health strategy, and we thought we were in a position to, you know, really inform that strategy. You know, probably. Certainly of mutual benefit. Equally, it would be really helpful for us if we had health giving us a strong steer, saying that they would like us to do X, Y, and Z, because, you know, we'd obviously quite happy to do that, and we believe that the you know, we can support health certainly from a preventative perspective. You know, I mean, actually, one of the other categories that we've added to the priorities for the project is hospital discharge. You know, again, we get presented with people that are struggling to come out of hospital, and health are looking for a housing solution, and this is obviously one of the housing solutions we can present. So unfortunately, I'm not in a position to actually give you the answer that you're looking for, and certainly the answer that that we would like. But we will continue to bang the drum in terms of what we're doing here. We do have contacts with health. Obviously, we'll use internal colleagues in social services in terms of their links with health, which are obviously probably stronger than ours. And we'll keep going. But we think we think there's so much scope to roll this out on a more of a regional basis anyway, because all the local authorities are doing a variation on a theme. To be honest, I like to think that we're probably ahead of the other authorities, and certainly approaching it from a slightly different perspective because of the workforce dimension. But either way, I think there is scope to, I say, operate on a very similar basis across the patch. And if we could include health in that, I think we can go bigger and faster. You know, so we'll certainly keep going anyway in terms of our liaison with health.
Thank you. Can I come back in, Chair? Just to say, I totally agree with you, and really, yes, I think this should be rolled out Gwent wide. I mean, as you say, they've probably all got individual projects going on, but really perhaps there could be some uniformity which might help, and that could come under a regional strategy. I'm just going to say, Ian, I can't do anything on it, but I wondered if we could have a talk sometime, if we could have a meeting sometime, and perhaps we could, discuss this. Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, I was just bending Hazel's ears. Councillor, I'm just kind of wondering whether we as a scrutiny committee might be able to write with some recommendations to somebody. I don't know, I'm looking at Hazel for I wonder whether that might add some extra sort of pressure.
I think that'd be really good.
Yeah.
It'd be great. We'd welcome and appreciate.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm just thinking as MCC, as an organisation, we've committed to an age-friendly, becoming an age-friendly community or council or communities, and part of that is prevention. Part of that is assisting people to live well and independently as long as they are able to, and quality of life. And this just adds to that, doesn't it? Actually makes people feel safer in their own homes, actually gives peace of mind to families and carers, and actually adds another dimension to people's lives.
Chair, sorry,
Penny. You're on mute, Penny. Sorry.
Yes, I agree with you. And just to ask the reasons why health haven't come forward with their, in establishing a regional strategy, which would benefit them so much when we're prepared to meet them halfway, perhaps. So perhaps that could be added to the letter. And I'm prepared to, do what I can, which won't be much, obviously, but, to find out what I can as well. Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Penny. Can I pass over to Councillor Riley?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you. I've visited a couple of times at Chepstow and have been really, really impressed, particularly about what you do with the money that you have. So kind of on that note, what I wanted to ask was, One of the very impressive pieces of kit was the tracker watch, which I know they're about £500 a piece, and clearly saving the police a huge amount of money in that. And when we had a different scrutiny meeting involving the police, we did ask them if they had considered the savings, some of the savings, even from the police perspective, coming into your team. And at that point, they hadn't. So I just wonder whether that is something that might be considered, along with what Councillor Jones is suggesting, that perhaps might be directed at the, you're doing an awful lot with not very much money, and if you're saving large organisations money, then maybe they can help a little bit. So just to put that there. The other one of the other concerns, not concerns, but you're going on from what the chair was discussing about us being an age-friendly county. Your average ages are sort of 92 last year, 88 this year at the moment, and yet it is a 16 plus scheme. And you talked in your case studies about people who are a lot younger. So how many of, obviously it's good if you've got a lot of younger people using the facilities, which is lovely, that must be significantly altering. If there's only two, then not. That must considerably alter your average ages. So do you have many younger people being able to stay at home with disabilities with the use of this technology? And if you want to hold up, well, I just have my one very complicated question. I was at a Bevan Commission event 2 weeks ago at Swansea University, and everybody is looking to move to AI and technology to save the planet. And there's obviously a question needs answering there, but to help innovate, etc., etc. And I did speak to somebody from Microsoft, because if everybody does move to that, we're not going to be able to power it with the current infrastructure. Now, I know you won't have an answer for that. Maybe the chief executive can. But my main question is, if technology fails, and I'm thinking like interactive screens, and unless we get more power, there will be more failures. What happens? Will you know if it's failed? And what's your backup plan if people are at risk?
If we address the ages first, I suppose. Predominantly, our service is used by the older generation, because historically that's where our customer base came from, because it was Careline. So Careline was the alarm service. So yeah, so they were generally of a certain age and older. But since we've introduced the assistive technology, we are seeing that age drop. I'm not going to say we've got hundreds and hundreds of younger people, have we? But we are seeing more younger people coming through, definitely. And actually, we are trying to aim at children as well. It's not just 16 plus. Some of this equipment would be suitable for children as well. So yeah, so it's a slow change, but I think it is gathering momentum in the teams, especially, I think, because as they become more aware of what the equipment can do for those individuals, we are seeing, the gentleman we gave the case study about, the amputee, he was a young dad, who got sepsis and lost all his limbs. So it's, desperately sad situation of him being in hospital for many years. Before we could get him home. So yeah, so we are seeing a shift, but it's not a momentous shift. It's a slow, gradual change of age. I'm sorry, what was the other question then? The
Backup plan.
Oh, the failed. Yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah, because this is all heavily reliant on electricity and internet and all that like that. We've got a backup plan because the equipment that goes through to our alarm receiving centre in Caerphilly, they're the ones who answer the call if somebody presses a button. You know, they've got that backup plan in place that's their database or whatever we call it transfers to somebody else should they fail. So we've got those sort of backup plans in place. But if somebody has a power outage and then their equipment doesn't work as such, it is.
The Lifeline does have a 48-hour battery backup.
Yeah.
And because they're all SIM based now, they don't rely on internet. So that's kind of that backup on those. But with the smart technology, it basically, if it goes off, it does go off. So I'm
kind of thinking if somebody is abroad and pressing an alarm is no good then. So if somebody's abroad, the interactive screen goes down. What is the backup for those people?
Yeah, well, that's the difficult. That's with the comp device, I suppose you're thinking about. Yeah, so that communication would sort of drop then. So I suppose they would have to go back to their phone technology, but then they would contact us then, and when it comes back up, and we can go back out and reset it. But I think the comp also does work off SIM devices as well. It doesn't have to be on the Wi-Fi.
I suppose, sorry to press it, is I'm thinking if somebody is in an emergency situation, normally the alarm means that a family member has to come.
So if you're looking at the responder side of it, so you're saying if that family member was abroad?
Well, if they weren't able to respond.
Yeah, so if they weren't able to respond, what we advise is that they ask us to let the alarm receiving centre know if that person is not contactable during a period of time, and then it would either be that they would go to another responder, or they could add someone on for a temporary period of time, or if they got a key safe, then what they would do is phone emergency services, and then that key they would go and attend to that person using the key safe. Okay, that's good.
Councillor Howarth.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everyone. Thank you, team, for your presentation this morning. Quick question, and some of the questions which I wanted to ask have been asked, but I just want to trim off probably some of the questions. What percentage of our clientele now within the system are funding their packages themselves on the basis of small part of it or the whole part? I'll take the lady in the presentation, God bless her, I mean the one who was having all the adaptions and everything else. I know there are two elements to this, i.e. if you have healthcare or you have medical care, perhaps the medical care may be supported by an Iron Bevan. If you have healthcare, you don't get the full support. And I'll go back to air beds at home and things like this. You know, I mean, support for people who do get home and they need support, i.e. an air bed or whatever. There is 24-hour service or things like that. So my question really is what percentage of people do we have on packages which are supporting themselves or some of it? And then I heard somebody mention there, maybe Ian, that actually we may be looking at increasing charges, etc. Would that not be better being done within the budget aspect of when we set our budgets? If we have to increase with inflation 1 or 2%, would that not be the best way of doing it, and then implementing charges on people, let's say ad hoc, or when we feel we've got to do it? Because our service providers for all this must be contracted to us, so the people in the telephone side of it, or the people providing all the equipment, must have some contract with us. So whether they put their charges up, it's got to be in line with us as well, setting budgets. So that's one of my questions. And the other question is, have we ever looked at packages where families can actually have some finance help. So actually they may not be able to afford everything because of the outgoing of it, but we may be able to spread some kind of package for them, and with some kind of finance. So you mentioned watches there at £500. I know nothing about them, but sounds a great initiative, etc., etc. But it may be a family would love to have that and spread the cost over a period of 6 months or 12 months. Have we actually looked at that so we can actually support families who aren't being supported through the system, but have to support themselves, but may think, well, a package, yeah, I think that'd be great for our family member. That's my last question. I know we've touched on finances, but them two questions I just liked some answers to. Thank you, Chip.
Okay, so I think it might be useful if we just explain the charging policy exactly, because our service is self-funded by our service users. So everybody pays a charge for the service. All the service users pay a charge. It starts off at £5 a week and it's capped at £10 a week. So basically, to simplify it and oversimplify it, it's basically £5 a week and then £1 for every additional piece of kit that they get. But it's capped at £10 a week. We have an installation fee which we charge, which is £50 per installation. That's a one-off fee as well. So so the watch, for example, which you're talking about, which is hundreds and hundreds of pounds, we buy that out of our funds, and then we just charge the customers that £5 or £6 or £7 a week, whatever it might be, depending on. So that lady that we mentioned in the case studies who had an awful lot of equipment, her charge would be £10 a week because she had quite a bit of equipment there. So I hope that clarifies how we charge.
Yeah, I think that is, I mean, that's cleared my mind then up on what it's costing people to have, whether it's £10 or and 10 pieces of equipment or £10 and one piece of equipment. Yeah, that's what we're saying there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So going back then to the charges, then my next question then is, maybe Ian's mentioned that we'll be looking to increase them charges. Have we not increased them in the last budget, let's say to £11, or you know, I mean, increasing them, talking about it now, should have been talking about it probably at Christmas time, like parking charges, like every charge has to have a set percentage increase, you know, because if it's costing us money and we're losing money here and people are paying for it, at the end of the day, we're subsidising that, but how long do we subsidise it for? So I just want an answer on that one, really.
No, you're absolutely right with that. Yeah, just to confirm, as we sit here at the moment, there's no firm plans to review the charge. It is something that we are considering, or we need to consider, but we've not got any timelines or anything like that. So, and as you say, it is appropriate to potentially align that with the council's budget cycle, but what we're not looking to do is deal with that in isolation. So this is an ongoing conversation with social care. Ideally, we'd like to get into conversations with health, because we know that there are very much cost avoidance opportunities at the heart of this. So I think your point is completely fair in terms of that budget cycle, but we will we'll be looking at over the over the coming year, really, in terms of how we go forwards. Something else, and I forgot what I was going to say. I can't remember. Sorry.
The finance one. Finance, perhaps people entering into agreements on finance.
Yeah. So the other bit is no, there isn't any firm support around funding packages. and I'm not sure that it's necessarily particularly come up. We do get a little bit of feedback occasionally when there are people that don't take it because there is a charge, which is obviously a concern, and that's something, again, a conversation that we've had previously with social services, and no doubt we will have it again, because obviously we don't want it to be in a position where it's only a service that's available for people that can afford it or willing to pay, when we know that some people have got some really high needs. So so we obviously don't want that to be a barrier. But as I sit here at the moment, I can't, there is no alternative or solution. If I remember rightly, and I've not had this conversation for a while, well, I think there is scope for the council to support like phase payments for recharges, but that's something I'd have to check, and say it's not something I've got involved with for quite some time. So that's from memory. So
okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Howarth. Christopher, if you don't mind, I'm going to take Councillor Bond first and then come to you afterwards. Okay, Councillor Bond.
Thank you, Chair. Excuse me. I just wanted to say what I put in the chat as well. It's a great service and the delivery's amazing. So we all need to support any increase in numbers or as it comes in front of us. All the questions I had have been answered and really well. Thank you very much. And just as a build, we recently had some information through the door from, I think it was with the National Grid leaflet regarding power outages and possible support available for those with medical equipment that obviously need power. I just wonder, well, I guess this is not including this sort of equipment, but I wonder if we are taking it forward in our various, because I'm on CLICE, so I'll take that forward in that way. But just wonder if it could be raised whether this equipment, as it is, yielding all the benefits you're saying, keeping people out of hospital and maintaining their well-being and lives independently, whether we could raise also the possibility of getting that additional help for people over 65 who and include this as a medical need. I wonder. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Does anybody want to come back on that?
I think that's a really good idea. It's certainly something to follow up and explore, because again, as any additional layer of resilience has got to be a positive.
I'm aware that all of the service providers, electric service providers, have a register for people who are vulnerable, and you can list what crucial equipment you have, but there is facility for everybody who is vulnerable.
So we could certainly explore that, can't we? Yeah, definitely. Good idea.
And it might be that you do that on installation or something. Yeah, okay. Councillor Edwards, please. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me back in, Chair. I mean, there's clearly an increased need for this service, as you can see from the stats in the report. And with this in mind, and I take on board what you say earlier on about you're always looking for different avenues of funding to fund and support this. Going back to what Councillor Crook mentioned earlier about the Newport City referrals, one thing that dawned on me was, are we getting funding for this, perhaps from Newport City Council, or is it a case of Monmouthshire is sort of supporting this? Obviously, the service users are paying for this service, but there must be some cost to Monmouthshire, and I'm wondering whether that funding is covered. Another question I've got that dawned on me was about safeguarding, and I was wondering what safeguards are in place to ensure that this technology does not create new risks in the future, for instance, an over-reliance on the technology by the individual and their families. And as a final point, one for the future, not that I expect you to be able to see into the future, but obviously we're talking about the current service at the moment. I'm just wondering about what future technologies are being explored. Is there anything that is on the horizon? Thank you.
The Newport arrangement is we do have a service level agreement, and that's we're not subsidising that as an authority. So there's I don't know the details sat here, but we do get an annual income from Newport for that service, and I say it's something that ideally, again, we think it provides a little bit of a stepping stone for, again, potential regional arrangements. It's not developed as I would have hoped, but we've certainly got that sub-regional arrangement, and but I say they pay for what they get, so there's no subsidy or anything there. Safeguarding and over-reliance on equipment. Again, probably quite difficult to answer that, but I think probably I've worked here long enough to know that we're a very person-centred local authority. The needs of individuals are at the heart of everything we do, and I know, well, not just from housing, but I know from liaising with colleagues, that personal contact is so important. So obviously I don't want to be complacent and get to that situation where that we do get over reliance on equipment, but I can't see that happening. And probably being realistic, most cases your assistive tech it complements other forms of care as opposed to being a completely standalone piece of equipment. So, but it's probably one of those things it is a potential risk, and not something that we should ignore, but just something to keep an eye on as we go forward. And then lastly, in terms of future tech, is that one I hand over to you?
Yeah, we're always keeping our, well, that's part of Rhiannon's role. Our digital coach's role is to try and keep an eye on what's coming to market. Claire and Rhiannon actually went up to a conference in Birmingham 3 weeks ago. So they had all the providers there, showing their wares, telling them what's coming to market. For example, we're looking at a new tracking device that we can potentially start using rather than the trackers that we're currently using, because the technology has changed and advanced. So yeah, we're always keen to explore new things. The comps that we've mentioned recently, they're quite a new piece of kit that we've got and have been a huge success. So it's basically a bit like a TV screen that sits in the corner of the living room. People can call into it and the service user doesn't have to pick up a telephone. So it's particularly good for the dementia group of people that, family members can contact them and put messages on there, share photos on there, put prompts on there to remind them to take their medication. That's been quite innovative and very successful piece of kit that we've recently started providing. But yeah, we're always open to new technologies and keep an eye out for things that we think might benefit our service users.
Thank you for clarifying.
That's really interesting, isn't it? And actually, sort of the whole sort of tech world is that's what it does. It sort of develops and sort of research and development. But the comp thing, I think, is great as well. Really, I'm going to take Councillor Maureen, who's been waiting patiently over there. And then I think I've got John and then Jan. So Maureen.
Right. Thank you very much. I want to thank you so much for this presentation this morning. Most of the questions I would have had, most of the oil questions have been answered. But what I'd like to say is this: 40 years ago, which just seems a long time ago now, when I was married before, my ex-husband's grandmother was living on her own and she was managing. But the district nurse said she must have somebody there all the time, 24 hours. I mean, she wasn't disabled or anything. She was just got elderly. And so we were doing a sort of rota throughout the family and everybody was farming. And you can imagine it got a bit, and in the end, she said, oh, well, she'll have to go into her home. Well, she wouldn't have hurt. She might wander down the field and collapse down there. She was happy there. She went into St. Mary's, which was her Berg Hill in Hereford, into her home there. And within 6 months, her mind had gone completely. Now, she could have been looked after at home and stayed at home as you can today, as all these things you're doing for you. She'd have been fine. And you see, this is what is such a progress from those days, because people in their own homes, they're used to what's around them. And I think it's such a wonderful, thing that you're doing for everybody. And I want to thank you so much, because it does matter that people can stay in their own homes for the help. Thank you very much.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that, and we appreciate that, because we are very passionate about the service, so we love it when somebody can see the benefit of it.
Councillor Crook.
Yeah, sorry. You mentioned about Seven View. You were talking to them. I help run dementia and Alzheimer's class there every other Wednesday, and also in Mega. So if you would like an introduction, I'm more than happy to get that involved for you. So it's Seven View every other Wednesday, and Mega Baptist Church every other Wednesday. So there's quite a following actually, and there's quite a need.
Yeah, that would be lovely. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Councillor Butler.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for your presentations today. I think most of the questions have been asked. There are a few things that have come into my mind as we've gone along. I noticed the digitalisation programme, you've still got 7% need of upgrade. Is that because of technical issues, or is it possible for everybody to be digitised or not? So that's the first question. I also noticed that the care costs avoided for this financial year, over £124,000. And how does that compare to our annual running costs? Just a very quick one here, actually. I assume you're using Ring doorbells a lot. So you've got Ring doorbells. I've done a lot of knocking on doors recently. You might be surprised to know. I'm finding that a lot of them haven't stood up very well to the wet weather we've had. Have we had any sort of tech issues with them? Just a minor thing, really. I'm sort of picking up from what my colleague Maureen was saying there. Nowadays, there are a lot of people who live on their own for all sorts of reasons. Some of us, like myself, have still got the kids living at home, so you've got this dual thing going on. But as people age, frailty comes with age, doesn't it? How do we get to those people who are maybe in their mid-60s or 70s or whatever now, to enable them to live successfully on their own for longer? So those are my questions. Big one's the last one.
Shall I take the one about the 7%? So the plan is obviously to do that, but with the demand that we've had as well for the service of new installations, we do monitor them. It's about 70 Lifeline analogue units that are left out in the community. We have by January 2027 to complete that digital transformation. So that will be one of our main sort of targets to do that. So obviously, as we monitor them, we look at the age of them. So then we add those as priorities then, or if they come in and say to us that they're going over to a digital landline, and then they do those. So it's just a natural progression really, but we do have the target by January 2027 to get them all in.
We haven't been notified any problems with the Ring doorbells, but now you've said that, perhaps that's something we need to look into, because if you've noticed a problem, we can certainly make contact with the ones. But yes, you're right, we do use them. They are valuable pieces of kit for people who can't get to the door, and trying to alleviate falls and things. Targeting the younger generation is been quite forefront in our planning since the beginning, really, because yeah, you're right. It's not only the customer base we've got now, it's the customer base that's going to come through to us. Yeah, so we've done a lot of marketing. We have social media posts going out on a regular basis advertising our service. But again, Rhiannon, our digital coach, will go along to all sorts of different groups and coffee mornings and things like that. So, what Councillor Crook has mentioned would be ideal for Rhiannon to get involved with. Right. Okay. Yeah. So any group that we know about in Monmouthshire, that she's tried to get a little shoe in there, and we'll try and do that. A lot of it is word of mouth as well. I think our web pages are quite well received. I think we get a lot of positive feedback about our web pages being very clear and easy to navigate. But you're right. I think it's a continuous thing that we have to look at.
Thank you for that. It's just reminded me that only half of the referrals come through the health service, don't they? Half of them are self-referrals. So that's answered that question as well. Thank you.
Can I just add that, you were talking earlier about the children with disabilities team and sort of younger, youngsters with probably additional needs. I just wonder whether, as part of the sort of transitional planning sort of process where children go from children's services to adult services, whether there is a discussion about assisted technology and how it might support people or youngsters to in their sort of adulthood, really. Just thought, really.
I think as Sian's just alluded, I think one of our roles is just to keep that awareness raising. You can't do it 1 week and then not the next. We've just got to keep going with that, and I think that's that's partly relating to the success that we've had internally, because we're doing so much now with social services. So over a period of time, I know it was fed back to us a couple of weeks ago that we've trained nearly all of our direct staff. So, and I hadn't realised that. So that was quite an achievement, really. So, but the other side of things is the induction training. So, by virtue of its new starters, it's generally younger staff that are coming in, and again, and we're positive. We can't prove it, but we're positive that from the stats, because the stats are continually increasing, and the referrals from professionals are going up all the time. We're pretty confident that it is a result of that, and I think. I suppose what we're aiming for is, over a period of time, we are changing or supporting the change of the culture within social care, and professionals are thinking more differently about it. And I say it will probably get easier as staff get younger and coming in. Really, I think that's so. That's what I'm hoping, anyway.
We've got a couple of sort of last questions. I can see that Councillor Bond's got a hand up, and Councillor Crook as well. So if I take Jill first, and thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So on page 2, suggested that you've got display board. It's brilliant what you're doing, and advertising and whatever. And I think it said Bridges, Palmer Centre, Mardy Park, and bus station, Abergavenny. I wonder if we can have one in the library or Together Works, or in the doctors, maybe in Caldecott, because obviously a lot of people go to the doctors, but also, as you suggested, the Kymore Road health centre is perhaps less frequented by people other than health visitors and professionals like that. So I wonder if there's other places in Caldecott to help bring, obviously communicate to more people this wonderful service. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. We've actually had communication in since Christmas, January time, I think it is, to ask if we could go into all libraries. So that's something that we're definitely looking at. But yeah, appreciates that you know, Caldecott perhaps needs particular attention because they haven't got anything specifically there yet. But yes, definitely we were looking at that. And also we were looking at the hubs as well when we were going into the hubs, because I know Monmouth Hub has got one of our displays, but we can certainly expand those quite easily.
And maybe if they're portable, then people tend to take no notice of things when they're there for a long time. But if they pop up as it were, then people often take more notice, possibly.
Yeah,
Suggestion.
yeah.
Thank you.
I can see your point.
Thank you.
Councillor Crook.
Yeah, sorry to keep on. I forgot one essential thing as far as I'm concerned, and that's the practitioners don't understand the benefits of the equipment and how it works, which impacts on individual confidence. And I just wondered how you're tackling that, really. Some of us as ward members had a meeting of residents with the doctor's surgeries before COVID started, and I am one of trying to re-establish those meetings back, which we could address these situations as local ward members. And I think as far as practitioners are concerned, it would be ideal that ward members would get involved because they know exactly what's happening with the residents, where they are, who they are, etc., etc. If that's any help to you. I don't know how you were attacking the practitioner situation.
We, as part of when we set up at Chepstow Community Hospital, an Iron Bevan Health Board did a video of us that day and did a 3D video of the rooms and everything, which we were told was going to be put on the GP surgery screens in the waiting rooms. So we've been trying to chase that up, haven't we? Because I don't think that's generally rolled out as we were hoping it would be rolled out. So we were hoping that would have been a start, that at least we got a presence in the surgeries there. But yeah, we would welcome any introductions and avenues that could be open to us to get us known a bit more widely, definitely.
I guess it's about using all sorts of channels, really. Sorry. Jan, do you want to?
Just coming back and agreeing with that, really, but my own practice doesn't have a screen because we're a satellite surgery. But what they do have is they have a sort of like a board where there's QR codes. So I don't know whether you could absolutely investigate whether you can go on the QR code board. Thank you.
We did try to go into doctor surgeries quite a few years ago, and they were a bit reluctant at that point. So just because of having leaflets, and more so at COVID, isn't it? Because there was a transformational, transforming, transporting diseases maybe, but it's certainly something that we can rebring.
They will take leaflets there, so if I can take some today, I can pop some into Goitra for you.
Can I thank everybody for a really sort of interesting sort of discussion and just sort of it's been quite an enlightening sort of morning, really. Can I ask a very, very quick question, and it's a yes or no? April the 23rd, the Palmer Centre is the Age Friendly Communities event, and I'm hoping that somebody from the team will be there. Yes or no? I think it's 11 to 1. It's either 11 to 1 or 10 till 2 or something. But I'm sure that
I know Rhiannon has got some dates in her diary for some events, hasn't she, coming up over the next few months? So whether that's one of them, I don't know, but we will double check.
Okay, lovely, because it's a good way of actually, making your presence felt. And,
yes, definitely. Yeah, those are the sorts of
events. Yeah, lovely.
But
thank you so much for this morning. I'm sure that
Chair, can I just, sorry, I've had my hand up. Sorry.
Okay, sorry, Penny, I was, yeah,
That's
I didn't see
okay.
your hand.
It's
Yeah.
only to ask Rhiannon, it's much as you've said, I've got a group in Raglan that would really benefit from the talk, that she could give them the presentation. And I just wondered how we got in touch with her directly. That was all. I put it in the chat box. Okay.
Yeah, we'll ask Rhiannon to get in touch with you if that's okay, and then
Yes,
we can
please.
something. Yeah,
please. Great. Thank you so much.
thank you. Can you remind me of Rhiannon's surname, please? Gregory. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, and as part of the recommendations from this meeting, we will get together and write something to the health board. And was it the police as well that you wanted something?
Yeah, get some.
Yeah, so we'll chat to Hazel and see what we can do. But thank you really for such a lively discussion, and I think it's been really, 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 really great this morning. So thank you.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Okay, we'll give 5 minutes for Claire, Sean and Ian to vacate, and then we'll go on to look at the forward work programme if that's okay.
Chair, I'm going to go. I have to go at 12, so I may as well log off now. Is that all right? But thank you. It's been really fantastic meeting. Okay.
And
Thank
thanks
you.
for your questions, Penny.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, so the forward work plan. Anybody got any comments? Councillor Howarth? I think you're on mute.
Sorry, Chair. May I ask whether we could include the Dom Care onto our work programme? I think if you recall, last year we had the issue with the contracts which were being awarded out, and I think it was Dom Care in the east of the county, which was having some kind of alterations made to it. And there was talk in that meeting that actually it was going to be rolled out county-wide. Can we have updates, please, Chair? I think that would be really good if we could do that. And I'd also like to put Tudor Street on the work programme if we could, please, Chair. Just to have a review of where we are with Tudor Street, please.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Howarth. I agree that the Dom Care is something that we can look at. Obviously, there's some learning from what's happened in the south, and you know what the plans are for the centre of Monmouthshire as well. Tudor Street, is that on our work programme? No. Okay. So hang on, Hazel's just
So I think in the pre-meeting you sort of suggested that you would like to have an update on what's going on there, and it's up to you whether you'd prefer to do that in the public domain or whether you'd like to have a scrutiny workshop and invite wider members so that you can have discussions on that. I think there were some thoughts from members in the pre-meeting, but how would you like to take that forward?
Chair, may I just say then on that point then, would it be within our interest perhaps as a select to actually visit Tudor Street and meet the gathering ourselves and go out there probably before mid spring or I'm just trying to make some kind of formula here to go out there and see what's going on, because that will lead into my next debate in the planner. Also, Chair, I've been discussing with members about the allocations policy, on rural allocations policy. As you know, I'm Brecon Beacons National Park representative, and we've had
Councillor
discussions.
Howard, can you allocations as in?
In property.
Okay, all right. I didn't know what
in property, in affordable homes, etc. We have a rural allocations policy, and we have a policy for awarding affordable homes, etc. I'm not too sure many members know what that policy is. Would it be within our interest to just have a look at that and what the scope of that is on the basis of criteria? I think on levels. So I did see something about army personnel would be pushed up to a different level. So I could, my personal view is I've lost touch with it, and I'd just like to have a review of it, and that might be in date. Well, I'm not too sure. I don't think you've added to this committee, have we?
Okay, I'm quite happy for that. I think there are some. I think there's been some changes to the Armed Forces Covenant about housing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we need to explore that as well and what the implications of that might be.
And the rural aspect, Chair, we did have a rural allocations policy, so different areas had allocations. I'm not too sure what they are now and who's in it and who's not in it now. So it would be I think Ian might be the one to get the information from. Thank you.
I think he wants to come back and talk about homelessness as well, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. So we've got that in the work plan. Yeah. Thank you, Simon, for that. Councillor Edwards.
It's regarding the 12th of May meeting and Caldecott Leisure Centre. I'm wondering why that's on our list and not on Place Committee.
It's because this committee flagged an interest in looking at this, and leisure has always come under the remit of people in terms of the health and wellbeing agenda. So at the last meeting, we asked if you'd like to have a look at that, and members said they would. We've had some sort of we think that item might have to slip because of pre-election period, so there might be a few changes there to the work programme. But yeah, that's why it's scheduled for this committee. There was an indication at the last meeting members were keen.
I think it's been on our radar for quite a while, hasn't it? But the leisure centre, yeah. Yeah, okay. Christopher? Sorry, I put myself on mute. Did you want to come back on that, Christopher Edwards?
No, that's okay, thanks.
Can I just, something that's occurred to me, I don't know whether this would be for this committee or not, is public toilets. Public toilets review, have we ever reviewed that? It's been to place. Okay, not for this committee then. Not really. Okay, that's fine. Just checking.
Yeah, do we do an annual review on that? Is there? Yeah, I think it was done fairly recently, if I remember rightly. Yeah.
I'm only raising it really because I know in Goitra we maintain public toilets, and we need some significant improvements to it because needing some works done to it, and is finding pools of money for it, and I know that we're struggling. So, and I know about half of the public toilets are actually community council managed. It is stuff at place, isn't it? Really. But it's getting.
Well, I'm on the place committee as well, so maybe I can raise that at the next meeting.
That would be very helpful.
Great, thank you.
And I just flag up, since we talked about the 12th of May meeting, that we've now postponed it to the 28th of May. You should have been notified by Democratic Services. It's because of some of the pre-election period and the agenda. Okay.
Chair, is the grant still available for the public toilets? Do we know? Because I remember that was brought in by the last administration as just to, for Jan there. Do you still get the grant as local community councils off the local authority?
I think, Councillor Powell, have you got your...
Is it in Abergavenny, the town council, that comes up town council about the toilets?
As far as I'm aware, we were having a struggle to find any sort of funding pools, actually. And I'd be very grateful if anyone knows of any funding pools that are available.
Well, the county council used to actually award a grant to every town and community council which took on the public toilets. They used to get a grant. I think it was around about £1,200–1,500 a year. Is that still going to them? I don't know.
Councillor Howarth, I don't think we've got that information to hand, so maybe somebody can sort of look into that somehow.
Yeah, if Place were to look at it.
Perhaps if we flag that up to the Place Scrutiny, and then we can ask them to look at. I'm not trying to sort of shut you down, but I just want to make sure that we stick to our sort of boundaries, really. Okay. So shall we move on to the Cabinet Council and Cabinet Forward work programme? Sorry, Councillor Powell's phone's going off a minute. So Councillor Howarth.
Yes, Chair. Sorry to speak again. I thank you for your email, Hazel, reference to a response to the issue with Tudor Street brought up in the last agenda item, reference to the planner. I will dispute the officer's email that was forwarded to myself, and now I'm on a public agenda for reasons that it may be public domain that Tudor Street was on the capital, on the cabinet and the forward planner. So I'll have to dispute that. Maybe evidence there it is on a photograph or whatever. So I will dispute that. But I think now we've included it to our planner, Tudor Street. I think it's really important for the people of Abergavenny and surrounding areas that we keep focused on that. Now, whether we have to, I'd just like to know, Chair, off yourself now, it looks as though we as councillors will not be having any insight or any input into what's going on with asset management, which I find quite disturbing, because the email yesterday was quite clear that we'll have no notification of any assets or any leases, anything what's happening with the council prior to them happening. I don't know how members feel about that. Maybe our leaders of our groups have to have that discussion whether that is correct. So the planner, for me, isn't actually an up-to-date planner of what we've got on decisions made by the Ice Council. So I do find that embarrassing for us as a council, but I do find it as members being kept out of the loop. So number one, then Tudor Street is going on our work programme, which is really good to keep it going for the most vulnerable out there. And number two, then I think we need to explore asset management, which I think will become performance and overview select committee. Am I right in saying that? Tell me whether I'm wrong or not. And can we inform?
Howard, yeah, you are right. That is
performance
overview. Yeah, P&O. Yeah.
P&O. Can we ask them to, on our behalf, to ask them to help us what is happening out there with asset management on the basis of our well, I'm going to say my concerns, but I think it is the select committee's concerns of assets and the way we're moving forward. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Howarth, if and when that comes up at P&O, we can get them to invite us as a committee as well.
Yeah, super. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, is that all right?
Yeah, super. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so anything else that, or should we move on to, I've lost my agenda, the minutes of the last meeting? Any comments? Are we happy to note it or agree with
Can
it?
I move, Chair, to an accurate record, please?
Thank you very, very much. That's lovely. Okay, so I'll just bring this meeting to a close, and I'm just going to hand over to Hazel to remind me when the next meeting is.
Yeah, so we've got one on the 29th of April at 10 a.m. So we're looking at the population needs assessment. It's a special meeting, and the youth service, to receive an update on the youth service, because we're going to look at the youth service later in the year, September time, in more detail. So it's just to give you sort of an overview so far. And then the next meeting will be the 28th of May. That's the one that's postponed because of the election. Then July is homelessness. And then we go into September 22nd. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much for everybody attending this morning, and enjoy the rest of your day. So see you soon. Thank you. Bye.